network here in the US. As you know, I'm known here in the world of business as the CEO Confident, and in Latin America as the co-founder and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation. This is Saturday morning, so we are here again at the reality check on the planet, living without fear, and we are obviously co-hosting this incredible conversation with Judy Machado, Goddess Temple Cacao. Hi, Judy. How are you?
Hello, good morning. Happy Saturday once again. Hello, Angel. Such a beautiful pleasure to be here with you, starting this weekend in this way. And hello to everybody who's watching. Beautiful to be here.
Absolutely. Beautiful to be here. We started the day here in Dallas with a lot of rain, which is good. The sun looks like it's going to shine for the rest of the day.
Woo.
Everything is super, exactly. Water and plants growing, you know, and birds chirping at 5 a.m. here outside the house. So plenty of life around us.
Oh.
So how is the world in Canada this week? Because you are in Ontario. So yeah. How is the world developing?
Well, it's the same thing, you know, dragging on the same uncertainty for everyone in terms of what's going to happen. So originally June 2nd was the date that everybody's been working towards, right? Because the stay-at-home order keeps being extended. And so June 2nd was the next date, and everyone was ready in the patios, the restaurants, everyone's getting the patio sections ready outside. And all of a sudden last week they announced, oh, sorry, the numbers aren't good enough. So 2 more weeks before the patios can open. And even that we can't confirm. So it's crazy. And I wonder if they're even going to open on the 14th, like they say, or the 15th, whatever that date is. So, you know, they allowed things like golf, a couple of outdoor, you know, things. But they denied the restaurants to open, indoor and outdoor. So it's still all takeout, and, you know, here we are, summer, and yeah, continues to be very interesting. Again, it's interesting when we think about that, you know, for those of us who really know why, you know, who feel that the remembering and the knowing why this is happening, that this is a really, really big shift in consciousness, and that it has to get so uncomfortable for most of us to make drastic changes in our life, to let go of who we think we are, these kind of robots, programs that we've become based on just following orders and watching the programs on the news and all that stuff. So it has to get so uncomfortable to shed all of that and say, screw it. Why am I doing this? Why am I working this job? Why am I doing this? I just want to do this thing over here. And even though I feel like it doesn't pay the bills, I'm going to do it anyway. Because when I realize when I'm doing what I love to do, everything else comes into place. And so that's the interesting part, right, Angel, is like seeing this manipulation and corruption and craziness and lies that are happening. And yet knowing on this hand that's part of this transmutation, this transformation in humanity, in, you know, global consciousness. And we've talked about, you know, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about initiation from Gaia. So this incredible program, if anyone who's watching hasn't seen that yet, I highly recommend it. First of all, Gaia.com is kind of like a Netflix, but for conscious materials, conscious, you know, documentaries, conscious series, conscious leaders sharing conscious conversations on there. So really beautiful. And so I finished watching Mateos Di Stefano, who has a whole series on there called Initiation. Highly recommend it. And now we're on to, my mom and I are on to Greg Braden, who we've also watched many years ago. He has a few new uploads on there. Greg Braden, oh my God, because he brings in the science, right? It's all about the science, the patterns in life. Just look at history. You know, why is history being literally erased? Because they don't want us to know the patterns that exist, why this is happening right now. And so once we know that we are in a time right now where this is, whether you like it or not, there is a massive shift that is happening right now with humanity, where this life that you know right now will not exist. It is literally being transmuted into something else. And this has happened 5 other times in humanity. The last time was Atlantis, so 12,000 years ago, where things happened in the world, whether it was weather or whatever it was, came through, and life as you knew it was not the same. It was recreating from a place of nothingness. And so we know that's coming. And so I think we talked a little bit last week about like, what if we know that that's coming, and we know that the future is about connection, collaboration, then how can we start to embrace that now? And for many of us, it's becoming natural because we're waking up to it, we're feeling it, it's in our consciousness now. For others of us, we're seeing it, but it might be like a little weird. It's like, oh, well, why would I, give information to this person here when they're my competitor? When it's like, they're not competitors. We're all collaborators. We're all sharing in the same message. And there's more than enough business for everybody. And so, I'd love to talk also later today about just this beautiful, beautiful thing that I heard. I was watching, one of my clients is writing kids' books, and I'm helping her she has a series. We turned it from one book into multiple books. Her series is called The Home Within You. She's teaching kids to go into their heart. So we've turned it into 5 different books. And we're working with some collaborators now to create videos, like a yoga instructor for children. So the home within you through yoga, all these beautiful things. And we had this conversation with this woman who she wanted to approach to do some of the teachings in the book, to do some videos. And this woman, 21 years ago, her and her husband decided they wanted to have a baby. And so they had a baby, and they were the happiest they can imagine. They had this beautiful baby, and everything was perfect until 2 years into this baby's life. And they realized that there wasn't a lot of progression or growth in terms of speaking, presence, motor functions, things like that. So they had him tested, and they received devastating news that he had a condition that on average, children with that condition would die at 4. And so it was absolutely devastating. And they didn't know what to do. And they just thought, okay, at first it was very difficult and depressing. And they didn't know what to do, but they just lived day by day. Day by day, let's appreciate day by day. That boy lived till he was 21. And although he lived in a wheelchair and he never spoke, she said he was the happiest boy. Every morning he would grasp, because he had to be on oxygen. He would have moments of like grasping for air, and then he would catch his breath. He'd have his air, and then he'd be so happy. He'd be like, wow. Like, she's like, oh my God, like you were like, we could have just lost you 2 seconds ago. He was the most beautiful gift in her life. And she, although in the beginning, her and her family found it very difficult how to cope and handle and always wondering, is this the last day? They decided, she really shifted to giving forward in her life. So for example, she loved baking, and she learned how to make this bread, this challah bread, this recipe. She perfected it. She kept making it, perfected it until she found she made the best challah bread. And now what she did was every single Friday, how beautiful is this? Every single Friday, she would bake first thing in the morning, a couple of those breads, and then she would decide, who am I going to go and give this to? Can you imagine? Whether it's a random neighbor or a family member or somebody she just met last week, she would deliver this to these people every Friday. And she said that was the most beautiful feeling, to make this bread with her love, to have perfected what she feels is the best recipe. She worked so hard on it, made it with so much love, delivered it to somebody intentionally that she thought of would appreciate it. That person is eating it and loving it fresh and being gifted something that is so rarely gifted today, right? So rarely gifted to others, something that you make, right? It's usually something you buy, you give as a gift. And so that became an enormous gift in her life to focus on giving forward. And so she started a foundation, bringing children together. She started bringing her son into classrooms to teach other children you know, to say, look at what's happening, look at the beautiful gratitude and gifts we have in life. Her boy was so happy all the time. And she just created this life for herself that was just magic. And so that was just such a beautiful story that touched my heart so much this week. And I knew I had to share this because so many of us, as we know, so many people are focused on, you know, whether it's the media or, you know, the fear of the uncertainty, right? So many of us, it's the uncertainty that is the scariest thing, right? What is the future going to look like? Is there going to be vaccine passports? You know, whatever it is that we're all worried about. When it's our future, it's our present, it's our presence that will create that future. And it's so interesting that I used to, when I first came back from, because I was traveling, many of you know, for almost 4 months, and I came back to Toronto, and I suddenly, because I was quarantined for 14 days here in the house, and I suddenly started like looking a little bit more on social media and kind of got a little caught up in the whole what if, and decided to make a conscious effort to just be a producer of the social media and not the consumer. I don't want to be the consumer of the content, because so much of the content is fear, like impressions of fear. So I really just wanted to be a producer, adding value whenever I felt like it. And I found, since, you know, letting go and not being stuck in that narrative and in the fear and in the comments and all that stuff, that I have this incredible knowing that yes, I want to continue to travel. And yes, I want to continue to live freedom. And although there's this thing going on up here, this cloud of people thinking that might happen, I know it's not going to affect me. I know in my heart, I have no idea how, but I know it's not going to affect me. And I know that there's a massive shift happening with those of us who know and are focused on the future, focused on the life we want to create, which we're creating right now. We're not like, oh, isn't that beautiful when we have, you know, a time where we're going to be living in community. It's like, well, how can I live in community right now? I want to create that right now. That's how we're going to create that. And so create that in the future and shift the collective consciousness. And so those have been some incredible realizations. And so many more that, you know, are just so beautiful. If we have time today, I'd love to do another little, with the cacao ceremony, another little beautiful share. But it's just been amazing. Like, I know you're so about that. You're just like, oh, you're such a giver. You must experience the most beautiful joy every single day too. So many people give to you, right? Like, just what a beautiful experience.
Yeah, something really magic that happens when we start creating together is that we start being more in sync than before. I have to say that really, you know, our shows are just fully present from both of us. And we really don't connect throughout the week because we live, you know, we live very probably intense lives, right? Talking to a lot of people, connecting with a lot of people, having a lot of different experiences. We had not spoken about anything that she just mentioned, that you mentioned, Judy. Yeah. But for the audience, you know, she had not mentioned anything to me. So, because again, we both have such a, I would say that probably we are both very listening to what's, and watching and observing and analyzing what's happening around us in a very natural way, again, without resistance, that I would say. And when I was listening to you, so many things came up. So I would like to share a few. One of them is, maybe the first one is like to tell you a little bit what has happened here in the US for the last week, right? So right now you still use, I mean, here in Texas, I would say Texas and Florida are two of the most free states in the union. And we literally, I mean, you see a few people with the masks, but all the stores are allowed to have you in, you know, without masks. So really, life is really going back to normal. There's no restrictions in the restaurants. So maybe one of the, and I would like to take out of our way, in the same way that you said, you know, absolutely the same thing. I mean, I used to be part of a lot of different groups online that were talking about different things going on. And I decided, you know, like to leave all that information. I don't want to drink and have my energy absorbed or my time doing those things or reading those things. The only thing I would like to mention about something which is remarkable that probably unless someone tells you, you will not know, is that this week 3,200 different emails that had been exchanged between Dr. Fauci and many different doctors in the world uncovered many of the lies that have been systematically shared with the world.
Wow.
And I'm going to leave it like that. Okay. So everybody now is realizing after this leak of these 3,200 emails, the amount of lies that were being shared. This gentleman was given the stage on the White House, in the White House. So lots of different things, remedies were proposed to him acknowledging that the mask is useless, literally useless. So, but anyway, let's leave this aside because that was important, and that's going to represent an inflection point.
Yes.
And we have to share it because nobody else is going to share it.
Yes,
right?
yes.
But to your point, I agree with you. I agree that I think it's the time for people to really walk the talk. And even if it can sound or look like fearful or scary to take some steps that you wouldn't take before. And we don't very often talk about business, you and I, but it's true. For the last year, I was helping a lot of people to reinvent themselves and pivot in their businesses. What can I do now? So I would really recommend everybody, because that was a thought I had in my mind this week. Yes. Never stop pivoting. Never stop pivoting. If you think something is going to happen and you have certain ideas, and again, slow down to be able to perceive more of what's happening around you, and more ideas will come to you. Okay, that would be a very, very strong piece of advice I would like to give everybody. Slow down to see more clearly what's coming. And if you see something that's coming, prepare for that from a business perspective. Prepare for that, because we are all ready to use our divine power, our infinitely powerful, beings that we are, to give, value and to serve others, regardless of what we do. And I couldn't agree more. Lots of people talk about collaboration and have been talking about collaboration for many, many, many years, but they've never really walked the talk. It's time to do it. And you just have to start doing what this amazing woman started to do with the halal, right?
Oh, yes.
Exactly, with the bread. And let me tell you something else that you were mentioning. 3 years ago, a wonderful author donated 300 plus books to Wisdom for Kids to us, to our foundation. She did that because she knows that she wanted to help all those kids in Latin America become entrepreneurs, but also she acknowledges, she knows how important it would be for all those kids to have a book in English that otherwise would have never had in their hands.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The second thing is all the work that we do with Wisdom for Kids in Latin America to help the kids become entrepreneurs is energy based. So it's very unconventional. It's very unconventional. It's not like we have a whiteboard and we start telling people that's what you have to do to become an entrepreneur. No, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
We dance, we sing, we exercise, we play games, we dance, you name it, and we meditate. So I would encourage that person that you just mentioned, that author, that publisher, that person that is working on so many books, to keep on doing what she's doing, because this is exactly what the kids need today. The kids need inspiration in the old ways, not in the way of a distracting device, in the way of something which is hard copied, which has hard covers, literally. That's what the kids need to go back. And I have a wonderful video I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to share with the audience as well, in which I am reading. I have this book, the book that this amazing author shared with me. It's called Grady Gets Glasses, and it's about teaching kids not to, that were being bullied because they were wearing glasses. And unfortunately, in a lot of underprivileged communities, bullying is very common. So I was actually reading the book that is in English, I was translating it into Spanish to 3 underprivileged kids. It's a beautiful video. I'm going to share it with you. I will love you to share that with the author of the book, please, because obviously there was a reason why we had to comment on this, and there was a reason why we had to share with the audience. And you will see in that video, these 3 kids. I think that eventually they are 2 or 3 more that join us, but it's just me. Like, really, there's like a jam session. It was just myself. I just put my tripod and I said, okay, let's read the book here. I'm going to translate this book for you, and you will see that they speak in English and Spanish. You will definitely, you will understand it. But it was one of those magic moments of us, as with Wisdom for Kids, going to a place and teaching the kids and reading that, and how a book in English can change the life of some kids. And it's probably, and that those 300 books started the journey of these kids thinking, oh, there's another language called English that exists in the world that can also open to us many other possibilities. And that's why we gave it away. And obviously, immediately the community leaders of that community started to think, okay, so how can we learn English so that we can consistently read the books to our kids? So this is the ripple effect, that just a book, a book in English. So that author that you just mentioned, that friend of yours that you're helping right now, please make sure that she keeps on going. And the most powerful part of our workshop is a meditation. It's a 20-minute meditation. So you just mentioned yoga and everything. So, a suggestion I would make to that author, obviously very humbly speaking, would be make sure, our meditation is basically, it's a guided meditation in which we give the kids very powerful affirmations. And when we put the kids to meditate and we guide them to the meditation, magic happens, Judy. Magic happens because the kids are natural in meditating. So that phase of that kid with that medical condition, that face that she would give her mom or her dad every time that he would recover his breath, right? It's the exact same kind of face that the kids make when they're explaining to you the experiences that they have when they meditate through that first ever in their lives meditation. They've never had a meditation. Those kids have never seen what a meditation is. They have never experienced it, and they do it through us. Exactly. So keep on helping this lady, please. If there's anything we can do together, if I can give her more, I'm sure that she has a lot of feedback. We go to indigenous communities on top of everything else. Very often, as you know, the indigenous communities typically are located in very magic places where divine works have happened before. Actually, we go to a place where there's even a pyramid, a former Toltec pyramid compound, and you can imagine all that's happening in that area. So really, it's a moment of slowing down, really slowing down, and allow oneself to listen to the messages and the ideas. And I have really, like never in my life, I'm carrying my notebook with me. You can see it right now. You can see it. I'm carrying a notebook because there's so many ideas and things coming to me. So we all have this incredible power inside of us to change the world and to change really. And the future is going to be a future in which our gifts and our talents will be used to help one another. Yes. Definitely.
That's it. I remember the book Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh. And one of the questions that he had asked God was, what's the future going to look like in terms of, giving back, giving forward, like that sort of thing. And God was saying there's coming a time very soon where you will donate 90% of your income into the community pool. And he's like, 90%? Like, wow, that seems like a lot. What was his answer? And he said, I want you to imagine a time where your consciousness is in a place where all you care about, the number one priority for you, is not how much money you're making or what you're going to do with the money, but how the entire community can all enjoy what you are able to enjoy. Can you imagine being in a consciousness in that place? What are you going to want to do with your money? You're going to want to put it into the pool so everyone can enjoy. And it was like, oh my God, I have goosebumps just thinking about that. So beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's true. So many people right now during COVID, think of how many people are so incredibly wealthy living in these mansions, but all alone, because that's what's been happening over the last, year and a half. So really, what does bring joy? It's the connection. It's the community. It's being with one another. It's giving. It's loving. It's all that good stuff.
Exactly. And by the way, you've been seeing me drinking, and this is a very special water. This is a water that has a special size, a special shape. It's designed in Germany, and it's distributed here by someone called Nature's Design. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because inside the bottle, I have cacao, ceremonial cacao tea. Oh. Okay. So when I am not at home and I want to carry a bottle of water, I always carry a bottle of water with tea, with cacao, ceremonial cacao tea. And this bottle, what it does, this bottle actually has the vesica piscis, the vesica piscis symbol at the bottom. And given the size and the shape of this bottle, basically it changes the molecular shape of the water, and it's much more easily absorbed by your body. That's why I'm carrying it all over the place. I just wanted to use this because I wanted to share with the audience that and with you that there's a lot of things that can be said, can be done, just looking around and I mean, it's. I mean, again, I don't have any interest with them, but again, Nature's Design, just how to convert water into a different thing so that your cells can absorb it, and every week we do a ceremony with the cacao. Are you ready, Judy?
Yes, I'm ready. Oh my
awesome.
Goodness! I also want to share this gorgeous little cup, because you asked me last week. You said,
absolutely, I did.
You have a beautiful cup, and I actually I was out for a walk last week, right after a conversation that day, and I saw a beautiful potter, somebody who 2 streets away from me has this little studio in the back, makes ceramics, and she was selling them out of her front yard. And look at how cute this one is. And I got this one here too. Look at that, so cute. So yes, it all starts with the cup. And then it starts with how we brew, how we make the cacao, the intention. Again, the lady with the bread, the love that we put into it, the intention, and then having it with us. And so let me I was trying to find my music here, but that's okay. Can't seem to find it. We'll just go ahead anyway. We're running out of time. But yeah, what it is now, it's just allowing ourselves just to be present, calm, start breathing deeper. This is an honor to have this plant, this master plant medicine. The indigenous have known about this plant for thousands of years, have been the caretakers of this beautiful plant for thousands of years. And what an honor that we get to be in the presence of it, to honor it, to see ourselves in it, literally the reflection of ourselves through the surface of it, and then to speak, to literally communicate directly with this higher consciousness, this higher plant consciousness that's here to help us to open up our hearts and to share with us. I like to call it sprinkling our stories, our current limiting beliefs. Just start sprinkling some of those thoughts into our awareness as we drink, so that we can go, oh my God, yes, that is kind of bothering me a little bit. Why is that bothering me? My heart is so open because I'm drinking the cacao. Interesting. I'm elevated into a higher consciousness. I can start to see now other perspectives and not just my story, my meaning and my story around that thing that's creating that trigger. And so our intention right now is that we can enjoy, all of us, whether you have cacao or not. I invite you always every week when we come together to bring your cacao. And if you don't, that's okay too. But I invite the cacao to take us all into this higher consciousness, that we may enjoy this beautiful drink in our blood, in our bones, that it may open up our hearts, and that we may be open and ready to receive these other perspectives and ready to alchemize, transmute our current limitations, our current stories into more powerful stories, more empowering stories that involve all of us in unity and love and compassion that we're really all here to give. And so let's all enjoy this beautiful, magical drink together. And we'll take about a minute in silence so that we can start to learn to love the silence, the pause, especially when we're drinking plant medicine. Namaste, Sat Nam.
Namaste.
As we evolve our consciousness, we will find that we will use less words because we will be more connected to our energetic self.
There was two things I wanted to share with the audience. You obviously read the credits of our interviews or our shows every week, but everything started, and one of the most, let's say, important moments in Judy's life was her interaction with a shaman and understanding really the connection with cacao. And actually, one of these days, if you go to one of these farmer markets and you are able to actually find the cacao, fruit itself, if you were able to find it and explain, because people tend to think that people don't really know. It's like the coconut, actually.
Yeah.
People don't really know how the cacao is extracted from what they typically see from the plant, right? But we don't really know what it is until someone explains to us, and actually the exercise of opening it and then saying, this that you think that we will throw away, no, this is exactly what we keep. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you ever can do this, I don't know how easy it is to find that in Ontario. I would love you to share this and also remember, because I'm sure that when you had those amazing connections with the shaman that opened you to this world and helped you to understand better the connection of us with nature and everything, I'm sure that there's a lot into the plant itself of cacao and the structure of the plant and many other things, right, Judy?
Oh yes, and I have one of the pods. Usually when I do a ceremony, I'll share the pod. I'll talk about the fruit within the pod.
Exactly.
The umbilical cord that's in it, like just
exactly.
the incredible beautifulness of it. But yeah, the biggest thing for me was the realization that, we can learn about it, we can honor it the moment we start to speak to it. That was my big shift, because I used to think, well, I need a shaman to talk to, I need to oh, can you help me to connect, or can you, and we do absolutely, especially as we progress. But the moment you decide, well, actually, maybe I'm going to start speaking to this consciousness myself and sharing what's going on in my life and sharing how I'm feeling and asking for things and opening up to anything and starting a whole conversation, that's when the direct connection comes back to you. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. Excellent. Well, I think we are at the end of the show. Unfortunately, it's always very short. We always have meaningful messages to share with the audience. So Judy, if people would like to know more about you and what you do, what's the best way to connect with you?
Goddess Temple Cacao, either on Instagram, Facebook, or even website, goddesstemplecacao.com. Very simple. Please reach out to me directly. You'll get my contact information right there too. You can send me a direct message. I would love to hear any questions you have, anything as well. It is an honor, a pleasure, a gift to be here, Angel, with you every single Saturday morning. We get to play now all weekend long, start our weekend this way. Such a gift. Thank you so much. Have cacao too. If you're listening and you want to join us next week, bring your cacao next week. And what a beautiful way to bring that into your weekend as well.
Absolutely. And thank you. What an honor to have you. What a pleasure to have you, Judy. Thank you so much. Thank you. And everybody watching us today. Again, this was Reality Check on the Planet, Living Without Fear. We have a show that we co-host every single Saturday between Judy Machado and myself. She is in Canada, I'm in the US. Thank you for being with us. I'm sure that you have enjoyed our conversation as much as we have in here. We hope to see you again next week and in other shows here at the Expansion Network. Thank you very much and have a good weekend and a good rest of the week. Bye-bye.